Brian Quinn is with us here on set, starting in North America. The latest round of the NAFTA negotiations has just wrapped up.
Just titillating stuff here.
I know, it's true.
It's slow going, however, as the U.S., Canada, and Mexico try to salvage the $1.2 trillion free trade deal that Donald Trump called a disaster and vowed to renegotiate or scrap altogether. Nick Rushworth has the details in this report.
The soupçon of a smile with Canadian and Mexican negotiators relieved. Their fear of a U.S. pullout from NAFTA is now looking less likely. The tone in Montreal for the end of this sixth round was one of optimism for Mexico City and Ottawa, while for the Americans, progress was described as very slow.
Some real headway was made here today. The United States views NAFTA as a very important agreement. We're committed to moving forward. I am hopeful progress will accelerate soon.
This round resulted in the completion of an anti-corruption chapter of the trade pact and progress on customs and food sanitation. But the three sides are still far apart on U.S. demands to require 50% U.S. auto content in North American-made vehicles.
The employment rate today in Canada and the United States is among the strongest rates in recent memories. The U.S. stock market, as reflected by the Dow Jones Industrial Average, has reached historic highs. These are not the signs of an economic system that is broken.
The seventh round is in Mexico at the end of February. Among the factors at play are the upcoming Mexican presidential election, which is due to launch on the 1st of April, and the U.S. midterm vote in November.
Take you to China now. The government there promising to protect foreign companies' intellectual property.
That's right. You may recall Donald Trump's speech at the World Economic Forum in Davos, where he called out intellectual property theft as an example of predatory trade practice. That a not-so-subtle reference to China, where intellectual property rights are a major concern of both U.S. companies and trade representatives. Of particular interest to the Trump administration is competition in technology and cyberspace, particularly as American internet firms like Google seek deals to penetrate the Chinese market. China, though, says it won't and, in fact, can't force foreign firms to give up their tech. Let's take a listen.
Even during the planned economy era, it was impossible for the Chinese government to force China's state-owned enterprises to transfer technology.
And speaking of the Asian markets, what about the stock markets then?
Asian indexes lost ground Tuesday following a losing session on Wall Street Monday. Tech shares slipping in Japan. Tokyo's Nikkei index closing down around 1.4%. The Kospi and Seoul off by nearly 1.2%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng and the Shanghai Composite both closing down around the neighborhood of 1%. European markets opening lower as well as investors await some corporate earnings and economic data. London's FTSE 100 down 0.5%. The Frankfurt DAX down 0.8%. Here in France, new data out shows the economy grew an encouraging 1.9% for 2017, but the CAC 40 here in Paris opening off by 0.5%. Let's take a look at some more of today's top business headlines. The U.S. Treasury Department has released a report listing nearly 100 Russian businessmen as Kremlin-linked oligarchs. The so-called Putin list was created as part of a sanctions package enacted in August, but does not mean that the names included will be subject to U.S. sanctions themselves. The list is part of an effort to punish Moscow for interfering in the 2016 U.S. presidential elections. Deutsche Bank, UBS, and HSBC have been fined a total of nearly $47 million by U.S. authorities for their role in futures markets spoofing. Regulators have also charged 8 individuals in the scheme to manipulate prices on futures contracts by placing, then canceling orders to create the illusion of greater demand. And JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon plans to remain in his position for another 5 years. The New York-based bank is America's biggest by asset holdings. The announcement that Dimon is staying quashes rumors that the 61-year-old was considering a move into politics.
And finally for business, new fallout over the so-called Nutella riots here in France last week.
The story made international headlines. Supermarket shoppers here in France brawling over heavily discounted jars of Nutella during a promotion by supermarket chain Intermarché. Well, now the French Finance Ministry says it's opening an investigation into the sale that saw jars marked down some 70%. France has strict regulations about how much retailers can discount their goods, and Intermarché's promotion could count as product dumping. The country's agriculture minister is backing a proposal for a new law that would cap discounts at 34% of the wholesale cost.
I'm sure I saw you in those images. I thought I didn't see you last week.
I thought I had my mask on, Stuart.
Yeah.
I don't think that's possible.
Bigger one.
Yeah.
Okay.